Kev G, weather overview. What a week of weather we've had across the tri-state area, and we have some more action to come. We've got the potential for severe thunderstorms tonight, and then we wait for Tropical Storm Elsa and the remnants to get up here. And that tropical storm is going to interact with the northern branch of the jet stream, so it's going to deliver some pretty strong winds here. Now, keep in mind, you don't need a very powerful storm this time of year to cause problems. We saw that last year with Isaias. We're going to look at the comparison between what the Hurricane Center is doing with Elsa and what's happening with Isaias. So this is the New York 1 radar. Expect showers and thunderstorms tonight. They could be severe, just like they were last night. You can see the big blow up over Massachusetts. There's some big storms up there. We have a highly unstable atmosphere outside. The boundary, the frontal boundary that set off those storms last night in combination with the heat and humidity, it's still sitting across the area, and it's going to provide the mechanism for scattered strong to severe storms basically through the remainder of the night. So we have multiple watches and warnings in effect through Friday morning. I did put a link at the bottom, so you can check back on it for our local National Weather Service office. Now, when we look at the satellite picture, you can see the blow up of thunderstorm activity over Massachusetts. That's indicative of the brighter cloud tops. And then off to our south, you can see the beginnings of the northward advance of Tropical Storm Elsa. And that storm is going to deliver very heavy rain across the area in a 6 to 12 hour period, beginning late Thursday night through much of Friday morning. And it's also going to deliver the potential for 40 to 60 mile an hour winds. And again, that's not the strongest winds that we've seen around here, but due to the fact that the trees are fully loaded with leaves, they are in full bloom, we don't need a lot of wind around here in a widespread fashion to create problems. Now, it's one thing to get isolated damaging winds. It's another to get widespread winds of between 40 and 60 miles an hour in the summer. We saw what happened last year, and in some places, we're going to have power problems on Friday morning with the residual effects of Elsa. Now, I want to show you one of the hurricane models just to give you a general sense of what the storm is going to do, and then we'll look at the Hurricane Center forecast. Now, this is for tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. By about 7 o'clock tomorrow, the storm is near Wilmington, North Carolina, at least the circulation. But by then, I think we're starting to break out into some moderate to heavy rain because that frontal boundary is going to be nearby. Elsa is going to be spreading moisture into the area, and that's going to act in concert together to create some moderate to heavy rain even before the storm center gets here. Now, by the time we hit around 8 or 9 o'clock on Friday morning, the storm will be making its closest approach, and that's where we could see winds of between 40 and 60 miles an hour with higher gusts, and the rain will be coming down heavy at times through about noon on Friday. Again, we have multiple hazards, multiple watches and warnings in effect, and one of them is a flash flood watch, so check NOAA.gov. Now, I want to show you the Hurricane Center's track. It takes the storm basically along the New Jersey coast and out towards Montauk Point. To the west of that track, you might find the strongest winds, and to the east of the track, you might find the heaviest rains. But in a situation like this, where the storm is interacting with the jet stream, I think everybody will have a chance to see wind and rain throughout the tri-state area. I think the further north you go, maybe less wind. But all in all, along the coast, this is something that you really need to keep an eye on as far as winds are concerned. Not so much that they're going to be the strongest that we've seen once again, but the fact that all of the factors combining to create possible power outages on Friday. Now, I want to show you what Isaias did. Now, this was last year. Now, you notice how the storm was east of Florida, unlike Elsa, which was west of Florida, but it didn't really make a difference. Once it got to the Carolinas, it made a beeline for New England. It cut right up, and you could see by the yellow line that it's indicative of tropical storm force strength. So even though it was inland over a good number of hours, basically for the end of its life cycle, it still delivered tropical storm conditions to much of southern and eastern New England, including the mid and North Atlantic states. And there was quite a bit of power disruption and tree damage. So, it's just one of these things where it's a classic fast-moving storm that could be problematic as we go into Friday morning with all sorts of hazards. It's not going to be a big tidal surge threat. I don't think we'll see a lot of coastal flooding. I think the biggest impacts will be wind and rain. So for the residents who live along the coastal communities, you're not going to see significant disruption aside from the high tide times. You got to watch your high tide times and things like that. So that's the latest on Elsa. I'm going to put a link on the bottom of this video so that you can check the multiple hazards, the multiple watches and warnings that are in effect through Friday, and keep an eye on Elsa as we watch her move up the eastern seaboard with wind and rain for late Thursday into Friday.